Good morning, everyone, and happy Friday. Another week has just blown right past us. So I, uh, I am convinced that time is compressed. Hours are shorter, minutes are shorter, everything is shorter. I believe there is some kind of cosmic compression going on. Uh, or maybe it's just because I'm getting old. But whatever it is, the weeks just simply blow by. We're continuing our reading of the Book of Ordinary Oracles, and we're on the Playing Card Tarot and the Solitaire Oracle. And yesterday I promised to post on Facebook a little chart here that would show the various dates and things like that associated with each of the cards of the tarot, the lesser arcana cards, the courts and the small cards. And I fell down on my duty. But as soon as this is over, this morning I will post it on my Facebook page right below this, and it'll show you what your birthday card is. Birthday cards. You have one court card and one small card that's associated with your birthday. The court card is you share your court card with 1/12 of the world's population, and you share your small card with 1/32 of the or 1/36 of the world's population. So here we go. Here's how it works. First, you or the person for whom you're reading must have a specific question. Remember what we learned in chapter 2. Don't get suckered in by the old tell me what the cards have to say about me request. When a querent asks me something like that, I don't even shuffle the cards. I simply draw the first card off the top of the deck and lay it down. Then, no matter what card I draw, I say, the cards tell me there is no need to give you a card reading because without a question there can be no answer. You may leave my tent. After settling on the exact wording of the question, write it down on a piece of paper along with the date, hour, and the location of the reading. Take the cards in your left hand and invoke the superior intelligence of your choice. I use, or at least at the time that I wrote this, I use the classic Golden Dawn invocation in chapter 2. Number 1, concentrate on the question while you or the querent shuffle the cards for 1 or 2 minutes. Once you're satisfied that the cards are thoroughly shuffled, set the deck face down on the table and with you or your querent's left hand, cut them in 2 piles. Place the bottom pile on top. 3. Flip the entire deck face up on the table. Face up on the table. Fan the cards out from left to right in a large horseshoe. Practice doing this till you're able to create a beautiful arc of cards in one smooth, graceful movement. This can be a breathtaking and dramatic moment that announces in no uncertain terms that the magic has begun. Play it up for all it's worth. 5. Without disturbing the order of the cards, locate the significator. 6. Being careful to keep the cards in order, scoop the significator and all the cards to its right into a stack. With the cards still facing up, the significator should be the bottom of that stack. 7. Still keeping the cards face up, restack the left portion of the horseshoe, being careful to keep the cards in order. Now you should have two stacks, both facing up. The right stack has the significator on the bottom. 8. Place the left stack on top of the right stack and turn the whole deck over facing downwards. The significator should now be on the top of the deck, the first card you will turn over in the reading. Now this is much easier to just show you how to do it than to describe it because it sounds complex. But you just lay the cards face up in a stack to your left and fan them out like that. Find the significator, kind of cut the horseshoe that way. Pick up all the cards that remain to the left and put them all the way to the far right. So when you do that, the cards will still be sequenced in exactly the same way they were sequenced when the querent told you to stop shuffling or when they stopped shuffling. So the order of the cards has not changed. It's only where you begin reading the cards that has changed. And you start reading the cards at the client's significator. In most readings, the significator is not read as part of the oracle. It's simply used, as outlined above, to find yourself or the querent in the deck and locate the mysterious place to cut the deck. Spreads. There are literally thousands of tarot spreads used by professionals and amateur readers around the world. I give you only 4 examples here, 3 classic spreads and 1 personal innovation. This is not to suggest that there are only 4 ways to read tarot cards. I encourage you to explore other spreads you may find in tarot literature and use the one you like the best. The important thing to remember is that once you've settled on a spread, you should use it exclusively in your readings, at least for a period of time. Obviously, shuffling the cards and drawing one to get a simple all-knowing answer is the most profound and simple tarot spread. It is the method used by many of the most experienced and adept readers whose familiarity with the subtlety of meanings inherent in each card enables them to see complex and detailed answers in just one card. Drawing our one card is the most preferred method for those trying to get a quick and dirty answer to quick and dirty questions. You don't even need a deck of playing cards to create a tarot spread if you have dice around the house. Throw one die 3 times or 3 dice once to draw your card. And I give you a table that shows you how 3 dice give you all the tarot cards, or gives you all the playing card tarot cards. Okay, the 3-card spread. 3-card spread is the one I prefer when reading for myself and others. While shuffling, after shuffling, find the significator and cut the cards as outlined above. Turn over the significator to represent yourself or the querent. Then turn over the next 3 cards and place them before you from left to right in a horizontal row. The meanings of each of the 3 positions do not necessarily need to be determined or chiseled in stone. Table 4 gives you 3 simple examples of how each of the 3 positions may be read depending on the nature of the question. They can be past, present, or future, or cause, the vehicle of change and the effect, or your wish, what opposes your wish, and the outcome. And my favorite is what you think the question is, what the question really is, and what the answer really is. The Celtic Cross spread. The Celtic Cross is one of the most popular tarot spreads, and that's one many of us are familiar with. Let's see. It's one of the most popular tarot spreads in the world. It provides you, the reader, with the opportunity to stretch an in-depth portrait of the question with the first 6 cards, then wind up with 4 brutally frank revelations of who you are, how your environment affects the question, your hopes and fears, and the final outcome of the matter. Here's the technique. Shuffle and cut the cards and find the significator as outlined above. Lay the significator face up with no comment. The next card in the deck will be the first card in the reading, position number 1 in the figure above. Turn it over, lay it upon the significator and say, "This card covers you," and represents the general influences that surround the situation. Turn over the second card and lay it across the first, position 2 in the figure, and say, "This card crosses you," and shows the opposing forces, whether for good or ill. The third card, turn over the third card and place it above the first card, saying, "This crowns you," and represents your conscious thoughts in the matter. Turn over the fourth card, place it below the first card and say, "This card shows your unconscious thoughts in the matter." Turn over the fifth card, place it to the left of the first card and say, "This is behind you," and represents the influences that have just passed or are now passing away. Turn over the sixth card and place it to the right of the first card and say, "This is before you," and shows the influences that will be operating in the near future. Turn over the seventh card and place it to the far right of the fourth card and say, "This card represents yourself." Now, just to review that, that's the seventh card right there. And we're going to start 7, 8, 9, 10 like that. Let's see. So that seventh card represents yourself. The eighth card, place it directly above the seventh and say, "This shows your environment." Turn over the ninth card, place it directly above the eighth and say, "This card represents your hopes and wishes." Turn over the 10th card and final card, place it directly above the ninth and say, "This card tells the final outcome of the matter, the total result of all the influences exerted by the other cards." Now you can see how that's a pretty popular spread, and it's absolutely perfect when you are first starting to read tarot cards for other people and yourself. It gives you a real feel for the card and allows you to become familiar with the behavior of all the cards. I use the Celtic Cross spread for over 20 years, so it's I can't recommend it enough, especially if you're just starting out. Here's some things to remember. If there's a majority of clubs in the spread, it indicates great energy. Hearts represents emotional matters. Spades denote trouble or health matters. Diamonds point to business or financial matters. And the royal cards uh, are reference to social matters. More than two aces indicates great strength. Now remember, we're dealing with playing cards here. Playing cards are like the lesser arcana version of the tarot, minus the princesses. The solitaire oracle. Do you know how to play solitaire? If you don't, I bet you'll know someone who can teach you in about 2 minutes. Today, most of us are introduced to the game through our home or business computers, many of which have the world's most popular version already installed. I spent most of my time at the office availing myself of this app. Not everyone knows that solitaire is also a bona fide game of chance played in casinos. Fewer still know that it can be a powerful oracle. The most fascinating aspect of using solitaire as an oracle is that the outcome, the answer, is not just a foregone conclusion determined by cold destiny of the moment the cards are shuffled and cut. By playing solitaire, you inject yourself, your decisions, your concentration, your skill, and yes, your oversights and mistakes into the process of selecting the cards of your reading. The way you play the game is the most vital component and catalyst determining the final outcome. It's kind of scary, huh? Winning, in the old sense of the term, is not the object here. Ultimately, the answer can be 1, 2, 3, or 4 card reading that you interpret from left to right. Naturally, winning the game obviously indicates the best of fortunes, and the details of your triumphal answer are revealed not so much by the traditional meanings of the 4 kings, as by your interpretation of the order of the suits. In a game that you play with actual cards, the order of the suits, clubs, hearts, spades, diamonds, are not set in stone as a field position, as they are usually done on a computer. So in other words, the diamonds can be first, or the second, or the third in position, whichever ace comes up first. So, but every game is a win, because the solitaire oracle never fails to give an answer, even if the answer is, I have nothing to say at this time, try again later. Simply ask your question and play a game of solitaire, letting the cards fall where they may. When you can go no further in the game, take note of the last cards you were able to place on top of the play stacks, then discover their meanings below. And I give the classic meanings for each of the small cards. Now, you may think, remember, this is a book of ordinary oracles. How to make an oracle with things you've got laying around the house. Excuse me for a second. And most of us have at least one deck of playing cards laying around the house. I've been reading tarot cards for years, so in a sense, I put the horse before the cart before the horse. But once on a flight to London, on Virgin Atlantic, as I recall, from Los Angeles to London, I wanted to read my own tarot cards concerning the events and my upcoming experience in London and later other countries in Europe. and I wanted to read my tarot cards. And but my tarot cards were packed. They were in my luggage. I had failed to put them in, my overhead luggage. So Virgin Atlantic, at least at the time, was a very obliging and a fun uh, airline. And so I asked the flight attendant uh, if they had a deck of tarot cards up front that I could use. And he says, "Of course." And he comes back with a beautiful deck of tarot cards, and it wasn't a Virgin Atlantic logoed tarot deck, but uh, it wasn't bicycle. I forget what it was. Whatever it was sort of small, uh, about bridge size, not a poker size. And so I thought I'd read my tarot cards, and but there wasn't enough room really on the on the tray to do all of that. So I said, "Hey, I'm going to just play a game of solitaire because I can get all these cards on my little lunch tray thing here. I'm going to play a game of solitaire and treat the final outcome as my tarot reading." And by that point in my career, I had enough of the classic tarot card meanings memorized, or not even memorized, just sort of burned into my head, knowing what they were. And it was a very, very good reading. And of course, I wrote it down in my journal. And then when I got to London, and a few weeks later, when I was returning home, I had popped over to Germany and Norway while I was there. And God, it was an incredibly accurate, right on reading. Not only that, but it sort of prepped me for what I should be keeping in mind as the trip progressed. But anyway, sorry, I digressed into that little story. But I'm going to stop at this point today, and tomorrow we'll go through the divinatory meanings of each of the cards of a deck of playing cards, and we'll also learn how to be truthful to yourself when reading your own tarot cards. And that's the name of the chapter, which is how to be truthful to yourself when reading your own cards, or the tarot of painful truth, or wake up and smell your own coffee, or stop pulling the wool over your own eyes, or if I'm such a great fortune teller, why do I drive a 1977 Volkswagen? Okay, that's it for today. Have a great start your weekend right now. Okay, it's Friday, but start your weekend right now, and start by being good to yourself, and be good to each other. It's wild out there. Yes, the vaccination is on the way, but that doesn't mean that we shouldn't be extra careful for at least the foreseeable future. Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. Love's the law, love under will.